Hi, everybody, and good evening. I hope everyone is doing well on this Monday night. Happy July. I can't believe that it is July 1st. Can someone let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me okay? Hopefully, everything is coming through all right. Let me just kind of move that over. That looks a little better on my end. But someone let me know if everything is coming through okay. I'm going to wait in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Hopefully, everything is that's awkward. I can hear myself on my phone. If someone, you hear me? Okay, perfect. Hopefully that means you can see me and everything as well. But I hope everyone is doing well. As I said, hard to believe it's July. We're halfway through, just about halfway through our class. At the end of this week, we'll be halfway through. But what I want to do is, again, as always, kind of go over what we have going on this week. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ebook site too. Oh my gosh, that thing has been a pain, and I know I'm not alone in being frustrated with that. So let's head over to Canvas and we'll kind of go through our normal, usual stuff, keeping it short and sweet here. We're on an even week, so we'll talk a little bit about the exam as well. But we are right here in the heart of weeks 3 and 4. So everything from week 3 and week 4 is due by this Sunday night, the 7th at 11:59 p.m. So just make sure that you're kind of being mindful of that. And we went over everything for week 3 last week. So what we'll do is we'll focus on week number 4 this week. What is it? It seems like every time I try to go online and be here with all of you, everything is slow, which is just maddening, right? We don't want it to be slow. So last week we were looking at chapters 5 and 6, discussions 5 and 6. So this week we are in week number 4. And as I mentioned, what I want to mention for just a moment here, the ebook site has been a pain. I've been using this site for years. It's connected to the textbook that I wrote. I have no control over the site, right? I wrote the book, but it's something that's run and operated by that publishing company. And I know that it has been difficult, right? There have been a lot of issues with exams timing out, with things ending early. So I would really love to stress to all of you that as we do have an exam this week, please try to take it a little earlier than normal, right? And so I have in the syllabus, don't take the exam after like 8 p.m. on Sunday night because you won't be able to reach out to me if you run into issues. I would really love it if you have the opportunity to take it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday morning. Just give yourself a little bit of extra time knowing that that site has been a bit of a problem. I have reached out to them and talked to them quite a bit about it. Hopefully it will be resolved. But again, it's kind of out of my hands. I'm just as annoyed with it as many of you are. So please just try and plan ahead. Take the exam a little bit early if you can. More on the exam in a moment. But for week number 4, you're going to be focusing on chapter 7 and 8. Chapter 7 is all about memory, and chapter 8 all about cognition, right? 2 pretty core topics in the field of psychology. So as always, you're going to want to do 3 things, right? 3 things for every chapter. 1, read the chapter in the ebook. 2, read through the lecture. And 3, watch the lecture video. So if you do those 3 things for chapter 7 and 8, you'll be in really good shape with those. Then, of course, you have 2 discussions as usual, kind of sticking with that very kind of consistent format throughout the class. So discussion number 7 and discussion 8. So let's take a look at those together. Discussion number 7 is going to be related to the topic of memory. So with this one, as always, you're going to have my instructions at the top along with my video. Really important to watch the video for this one. I'm going to be giving you a 28-digit sequence of letters and numbers that you're going to need to talk about how you could memorize. But as always, you'll watch my video. Make sure you're detailed in your responses. Think about them more as like little mini papers. Don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points. So once you have watched the video, what you'll do is you'll have a 28-digit sequence of letters and numbers to work with. And what I want you to think about is if you needed to hold on to this 28-digit sequence in order and you had no way of writing it down or recording it, you had to rely solely on your memory, how would you hold on to it for a matter of seconds, and how would you hold on to it for a matter of days? And what I want you to focus on are different methods for these two. There should be different methods for short term versus long term. So if you are going to come up with a story, what is the term for that? And what is the story, right? If you're going to chunk it, how are you going to divide it up? I really want you to explain and kind of walk me through what you would do if you were to actually try to hold on to this. Then you're also going to describe in detail 2 specific strategies, either in the lecture or the textbook, that you could use to help remember content when studying for exams. And do you have any personal tips for memory that you would like to share? What are some strategies that you tend to use in your personal life to help you remember important information? So when you're ready, you'll hit reply, and then don't forget to also reply to a classmate. So let's say I really like the way that Brooke explained it, right? Or maybe you like the way that Mina explained it, or Chase, or whoever, right? You're going to reply to one of them to get those 2 points for the peer response. So that is discussion number 7 related to memory. Lucky for you, don't actually have to memorize it. If you were taking this class with me in person, you would be writing about how you would memorize that in person. Luckily for you, you just have to write about it. So discussion number 8, when it gets there eventually here, for some reason moving very slow. Discussion number 8 is going to be related to cognition. And as soon as it loads here in a second, you'll see, as always, you have my instructions at the top, right? Look at, here they are, crystal clear, right? Absolutely nothing, right? Here are my instructions, here's my video, and then here's the prompt. And this one is related to chapter 8 and intelligence. In your own words, how would you define intelligence? What are some attributes you think of when you think of people who are intelligent? What are some things you can do to increase your intelligence? And then the one that's worth the most points, so really focus on this last bullet here. There are 3 characteristics that any good test should have in order to be considered like a good test of intelligence. What are those 3 characteristics? Explain them, describe them, define them. You could give me an example, but make sure that you're really putting a lot of effort into this last bullet. That's the most of the points, and you definitely want to make sure that you get full credit. Then of course you'll also reply to a classmate as usual to get those 2 points. And those are the 2 discussions for this week. You also have exam number 2. And so again, when you go to take the exam, if you can, please try and take it earlier in the week. Mindful that we have a holiday this week of 4th of July, right? Everything's still open on that day. If you wanted to take it then, it doesn't matter. But make sure that you are being mindful of issues with the ebook site. Try and take it a little earlier in the week or the day if you can. Same format and style as exam number 1. I've given you a study guide right here of everything that you need to know. The exams are not cumulative, so it's basically everything since the last test. So this one's on chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. If it's on here, make sure you know it. If it's not on here, you don't have to worry about studying it at all. So just make sure that you know all of the terms on this page. Again, if it were me, I would probably write or type those terms out. I would love to have that in front of me, like completed as I was going through. That way I'm not trying to find those things in the book or in the lectures or whatever. Totally up to you. If you did well on exam 1, maybe approach it in the same way. But if you wish you had done a little better on the first test, I would definitely recommend doing that. When you go to take the exam, remember it is on the ebook site. So if you click on exam number 2, it's going to take you to a link that will take you to the ebook site. So just like the last one, you have 75 minutes to complete the exam. You get 1 attempt, so make sure that you're ready and organized before you begin. So make sure you have good internet, you have a nice quiet place, you have 75 minutes to spare, you've studied, you prepared, maybe you've even done that study guide and have it out in front of you. So those are all things that you're going to want to do to help set yourself up for success. Don't forget to save all of your answers, of course, just like last time. And also don't forget that the score doesn't come over to Canvas automatically. So if you take the exam and you notice you don't have a score in Canvas, that's because I'll bring them over after the deadline. So don't worry about that. But make sure you study and prepare. The exam is obviously the really big thing this week. And then you have discussion 7 and 8 and everything from last week if you haven't done that yet. Okay, I will of course post a recording of this a little bit later, either later this evening or worst case tomorrow, depending on how long it takes to upload and download. And then I will give you an extra credit question here in a moment. I have a couple of quick reminders for you. The first one is if you could take a moment to make sure that you're still subscribed. So remember that the free subscription through Twitch is only good for 30 days. So what that means is many of you who subscribed have probably fallen off. You just have to resubscribe one more time, and that should cover you through the rest of the class, or close to. Or if you haven't figured this out yet, it's definitely not too late to do that. Again, and I think I said this before, I greatly appreciate those of you who have taken the time to figure it out. It saves me so much time, and I really value my time with my family over the summer. So thank you so much for those of you who figured that out. If you aren't subscribed and you're joining me live, make sure you put your first and last name in the chat. And if you're watching this later as a recording, if you are subscribed, you can still answer the question on Canvas to get extra credit. So the other reminder that I have for you, we will have a live stream next week. So I'm going to put this here in the chat. Oops. Okay. Put it on my phone. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Monday, July 8th at 7:30 p.m. Okay, so we will have a Twitch live stream next week on Monday at 7:30. I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Oh, maybe not. We'll see. Right now it's going to sneak up on me, right? I was ready to sneeze. I had it all ready to go. My cats are shedding so badly because of the hot weather, and there's like fur just in the air, right? Oh, see, speaking of cats. Right? I can't remember if you saw Squash or not. This is Squash. Right? I think you saw Squash. She's like really pissed at me for holding her like that, but put her in there anyway. So our next Twitch live stream will be on Monday the 8th at 7:30 p.m. And then I do have an extra credit question for you. Let me copy and paste that in. So I wrote it out ahead of time just to save myself. So this is the week number 4 Twitch extra credit question. Okay, so what does it mean that our short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information? So what does it mean that our short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information? And if you'd like to answer that, you'll go back to Canvas and you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 4, because we're in week number 4. And when you click on that, you'll wait. Right, I feel like I'm waiting a lot tonight. Then you'll click on Start Assignment up at the top, and it'll bring up that box where you can type your response. And when you're done, you'll hit Submit Assignment. You get your little confetti burst, and then what's in there? Thumbs up today as well. So make sure that you do that before the end of the week if you're interested. Again, remember that we will have our next Twitch live stream next week. I gave you the extra credit question. What does it mean that our short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information? And one more time, please, I would definitely encourage you, as I mentioned before, try and leave yourself a little bit of extra time for the exam. Take it in earlier in the week if you can, just because of some of those ebook site struggles. So other than that, happy July. If you celebrate the 4th of July, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I saw something on TikTok yesterday that said, like, after the 4th of July, the next holiday is Halloween. So on the 5th of July, technically, we should decorate for Halloween, right? I will say that one year we decorated like mid-July for Halloween. It was a little early, to say the least, but my daughter wanted it for her birthday, and so we did it, and it was fun. I don't know if I'd do it again, but I did see that Halloween is the next holiday, so we can start looking forward to that after the 4th of July. Anyway, just a side note for you. But otherwise, I hope you all are doing well and hanging in there. Try and stay cool this week. It's going to be hot. What I'll do is I'll hang out for a little bit. If you do have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, at this point, we're kind of officially done, and you're welcome to go and get started on everything. But if you do have any questions, I will hang out, and I'm happy to answer. I almost agree with you. One year, like I said, we decorated on July 16th, which is her birthday, and we were a little over it by the time it hit October. Only a touch, right? Like, I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday by a mile. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe August 1st. Back to school-a-ween, right? It's never too early. So, anyway, thank you so much for all of you joining me. I'm going to put that in the chat. Thank you. And as I mentioned, I will be here. I will hang out for a little bit. So just make sure that you are just answering the question, right? It should be a few sentences. This one's probably, 2 to 3 sentences, and I would say that would cover it. Yep. We love Christmas too. I always wish there was like a month in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, like an extra month in there, just so I could keep those Christmas decorations up just a little bit longer, right? It always goes so fast. Right. Anyway, thank you everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself, but I will hang out for a few minutes if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week. Stay cool, and I will hope to see you next Monday night. Thank you as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy 4th to you as well. Have a wonderful night. And I am still here, as I mentioned. I'll hang out for a little bit if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, you're welcome to get going on the stuff for this week, and I'll see you next week.